I have been asked by people, why is it hard to integrate UX in agile processes, or how do you do it? How do you integrate UX into an agile process, especially if the team is already working in an agile way? So let's explore that topic today. Hey, I'm Ellie. I'm a customer experience head in a digital transformation office in a large conglomerate, and the founder of a UX design community based in the Philippines. And today, let's talk about how do I get UX or CX in the agile development process, or Scrum, or how do you get that in that process? And there, the assumption is it is not easy for UX to go into agile. And this is a Norman Nielsen article that explores that topic quite a bit more. But let's talk about, before we go into that, let's talk about, agile UX, lean UX, and how it all integrates. So what is lean principles? So um, here's a nice article. Um, Lean UX is the practice that adapted for lean startups, while Agile UX adapted for teams who are working with Agile. So there are at least a couple of terms that you might want to know about. But me in particular, I'm interested in finding out how do you integrate UX into an Agile team. And it's often not easy, especially if you're coming in and there's already a software development cycle, there's already a software development process in place. Where do you fit in? And where have I seen people put it in? In Globe, for instance, I see this example I'm looking for. Here's another article by Jared Spool. We'll get to that later. But what I wanted to see was, there's this article on, um, there are a couple of theories that are going around. This is one from Gartner, which has, there's three aspects of it: the design thinking, the startup, and the agile. And these are where they come in: customer problem, customer solution, lean startup, agile. There are criticisms about this graph. Mainly, one is you're separating design thinking as a separate part of the lean startup and the agile development process. So it's it doesn't really work that way based on my experience. And yes, this is the process. Actually, this is what he the approaches look like: building the right thing, building the thing right, which is, and then design thinking. Again, it's not as strict as what you'd see in real life. So there are criticisms to all these kinds of approaches, because I've seen that many different teams apply agile in different ways and design thinking in different ways. So what Norman Nielsen recommends is, actually, I like the explanation by Norman Nielsen that um, it works here. Key factor for the organization for it to work. If you have support from leadership, okay. And here's the critical one: the UX people themselves within the team show leadership. And that's a bit of a challenge to, especially a lot of user experience designers who are might not be um, inclined to a leadership role. So I know a lot of UX leaders, but not all user experience designers want to take up the leadership role. I know a lot of people who prefer to become individual contributors. But here's the challenge: if you want UX to be part of the agile process, you have to somewhat force yourself in, or get approach stakeholder buy-in to get you into the um, agile process, what it is there that's happening. And normally, Okay, here's another idea here. Agile process is flexible. Normally, if your agile development team, the scrum master, or whoever's running the agile process is not strict. There are strict ones. There are a couple of agile coaches, agile um, leaders that are strict, like following the ceremonies. But the whole point of agile actually is, let's visit the how it started. The concept of agile is because of the um, let's look at the, there's a summary here. How agile started. Where is it? Where is it? I don't think. Well, anyway, agile started because in response to the traditional software development process before the waterfall approach, and there was a there was a move towards being, yeah, there you go. There was a oh, what happened? There was a backlash. There was a backlash towards developing software that the old style, that you needed to document everything first, and then because of that, the Agile Manifesto was agreed on by 17 software developers, and these are the key points: individuals and interactions over processes and tools, working software over comprehensive documentation, customer collaboration over contract negotiation, where customer experience, user experience comes in. And that goes back to here that a lot there lately, people who are stuck in the agile process become strict in the agile process. And the idea is agile actually is pretty flexible, and I agree. Agile is flexible. You need the heart, the main concept, the manifesto within agile itself, which is customer collaboration over contract innovation, working software. I think this is where a lot of the issue comes along. And if your Scrum team is open to the UX process, it's you can go in, but you need a strong UX leader to bring that within the agile process. Yes, and they are part of the same team. Oftentimes, you'll see that the UX person is here, and the Scrum team, the agile team is here. It's separate. So we would ideally be part, the customer experience people are part of the bigger UX design, the agile team. The UX people should be a part of the design, the agile team, not as a separate. You'll see, for instance, in Globe, before, when I was talking to people in Globe, the UX cycle comes ahead of the actual software development team, which means that they're part of the backlogs. Okay, I think that's okay as long as there's active communication. And actually, there's a framework that this is a framework that was showed by this is from Gothel, Jeff Gothel, which is the author of the Lean UX book, and he gave a framework. So this is your design sprint, your backlog. Put your research, your hypotheses there, your design sprints there. Put it there, and then your collaboration and your designs, your wireframes, your content, your prototypes come into the cycle, the sprint cycle, the daily scrum. Sprint planning is where the brainstorm comes in. Designer is full-time member of the Scrum team. Yes, you need to be a full-time member of the Scrum team. It can be a challenge if you're in multiple Scrum teams as well. And then here's an important one that's often missed is the design review. There's a design review that's part of the development process. And then, yes, you do quantitative analysis. You do some qualitative at the start, usability testing. You can do quantitative research at the start, research synthesis. Did your findings here, did your hypothesis work here at the end? And you'll see this also in growth hacking. The same principles apply in growth hacking. You do your hypothesis, you run your tests, and you get feedback on your test. Here's an example from the Lean UX, the framework. So, how do you get CX UX in the design process? Here's a sample framework from Lean UX, which is oftentimes a case. And there are courses. Actually, Norman Nielsen has a course on Agile and UX, which is a nice course that my teammate had joined in, um, but it's worth at least 75, 80,000 pesos. Um, but yeah, here, Lean UX and Agile. So there are courses like this that you can join to learn more, or have your team learn more about how to apply lean UX approaches in agile environments. And I recommend you get your team to go through this. Now, integrating it to the actual practice is the next challenge. And again, um, having a strong UX leader um, can will help if there's strong UX leadership and you have the backing of support of the higher ups. So this 1 and 2. All right. That's how you can get UX in the agile process. I hope this helps for those teams or agile teams who are currently have their UX person separate or UX team separate from the agile team. Um, that's the challenge, and here are some materials for you to take a look at and some training for you to look at as well. Okay, I hope this helps. This We are in day 22 of our customer experience design, learning experience design sessions, and I'm Ellie. Um, and if you'd like to see the rest of the episodes, feel free to go to ellie.cx where I have the playlist of all the videos that I recorded for the past day for this month. Right? That's it. Enjoy your day. I hope your day will be as awesome as you are. And bye bye.